Hey guys, John Lovell here. Wanted to talk about the most important thing I ever teach civilians. These are all my classes. I'm an instructor at Talort Group. That's what I do full-time, tactics and firearms instruction for civilians, military, and law enforcement. So this is all I do, about 3 classes a week and then private lessons on top of that. So what I'm doing is I'm coming to you and telling you, hey, out of all of this stuff, if you're a civilian coming to me, the very first thing I need you to understand is you're very easy to kill. And so am I. And so is anybody where a bad guy, an ambushing hunter, does a good job planning an attack. And that's the problem is we can have guns and ammo and even a pretty good high degree of training on them, but if we're caught unaware and never see the threat coming, there's not much we can do about it. So being able to be situationally aware, being able to see a crowd of people and say, no, that's the threat there, or maybe that's the threat, and being able to really quickly take in all of that is really, really important. So threat indicators, situational awareness, overcoming fear, building fighter mindset, being ready to die and knowing what to die for, all that kind of stuff is a class Talort Group calls personal security concepts. But anyway, a piece of that I wanted to talk about with you guys today is the idea of situational awareness. Now, it's a fallacy to think that, hey, I'm always ready. And I even kind of hear these adages, I'm like, hey, always be ready. You can't always be ready. Be real. I'm a real person, and you know, when I'm home, it's tickle fights with the kids, and I'm trying to make out with the missus, and I'm not standing beside the doorway with a 12-gauge shotgun thinking, who's trying to come get me? I'm not. My doors are locked, and relatively I'm at ease. And you need that time to kind of de-stress. Similarly, if you're kind of out in public and you're thinking everyone's going to attack you, you're kind of checking everyone out and stuff like that. First of all, you're going to be such a paranoid individual. No one's going to want to hang out with you, and you're probably just going to isolate yourself. And if there was a real threat that ever presented itself, you're so busy checking out this little 12-year-old girl thinking, does she have a machete or something else? You're not noticing the more important stuff. Someone who's really good at situational awareness is good at profiling and saying, nope, based on the laws of probability and what I know, that person is more likely to attack me than that person. And so you're making somewhat of a tactical triage, saying, I would bet that person is a threat and not as much that threat. And it's very politically incorrect. And I don't care, because I'm not a politician, I'm a realist, and despite the muzzling nature of political correctness, I need to live in the world of people are bad, and these people usually are more bad than these people in terms of violent crimes. So grow a brain and profile where you need to. This will keep us alert. So like, for instance, if this irritated me the other day, I was at the grocery store, and I just finished a class teaching, and I was in the grocery store shopping around. And all of a sudden I look over, and 20 feet away from me is this really sketch looking dude. And that really bothered me. It still bothers me now because I didn't notice that person beforehand. And all of a sudden that kind of person, that sent off alarm bells. I'm like, that looks like somebody who may be plotting an attack, or somebody that may be a bad dude or something else like that. Now, if it'd been a soccer mom or something else like that, I'm not really expecting her to come up and knife me from behind. My guard is relatively low. And so what's happened is my subconscious and conscious brain is built in such a way that I'm kind of out in public, and if something's goofy or somebody's a threat, I'll pick up on that key in them, and all of a sudden my alertness level will go up. So someone like that, the soccer mom, I may notice her and then completely dismiss and forget her. I'm not focusing on kind of like, well, there's the 70-year-old woman in a red sweater with blue shoe. No, I don't care about all those unnecessary details. I'm not Sherlock Holmes that I can remember everything around me. If I try to be, I would be so mentally burned out I can't actually live life. No, what I want to do is I see an incredible amount of data around me, and I'm just going to the 1 or 2 little things. A really good investigator, that's what they do. They're professional profilers of bad guys. See a whole room of people, nope, 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 whoa, that one's sketchy. And maybe no one else would notice it, but you understand what are those little threat indicators of clenched fists and bladed fists and furrowed brows and demeanor hits. and all those that are swaying of the, swaying, 1,000 yards there, refusing to, all those little, there's tons of these little threat indicators which you may see on a normal day basis, and they don't really trip your warning flags because you don't know what to look for. But a good criminal investigator will immediately spot it across a room and be like, whoa, that person is super shady. And that's the kind of stuff that we need to be able to do. You can't always just be ready for everyone. I got out of the military, and all I really knew was kind of what I was good at is I was pretty good at killing people, raids and kicking in doors and clearing cities. That's what I was good at. But I got plugged into a local church and I wanted to serve. And it was this really big church with a pastor that was a pretty big deal, and he'd had some death threats, and so a security team gathered around him. And you guys know active shooter threats, they're targeting churches a lot of times too. So I wanted to serve and I wanted to help. So I found myself quickly serving as a bodyguard for this important, really cool guy of a pastor. And I wasn't used to this mission, and so I'm just kind of all of a sudden, I'm an ex-special ops guy standing around guarding this guy. I'm wearing a suit with my earpiece, and it was kind of weird, but I found myself just checking everyone out, like, who's going to try to hurt this guy? And like 70-year-old ladies would hobble up and shake his hand, and I'm like checking them for knives and stuff, until one day as I'm noticing myself checking them out, I'm like, all right, where's the weapon? I realized, I am being an idiot. They don't have a knife. They're not going to attack. It's just not going to happen. And somebody's like, well, maybe. I'm like, shut up. Nope. Nope. Not maybe. They're fine. And what it's doing is it's sucking my attention to people who aren't a threat, and I may miss the people that actually are threats. You have to make guesses and gambles in the world of tactics and real life, because there's just too much data around you to say everything's a threat and always be ready all the time. Now, there was a real famous instructor, Colonel Jeff Cooper, and he gave us something that's a situational rubric. And what it is it has white, yellow, orange, red, and it's designed to say, hey, in an environment like, hey, your home doors are locked, you're chilling in the white category, which means you're not really expecting a threat. You're relaxing, you're playing with kids, you're watching TV, your feet are up, and you are recharging. People need to be able to recharge. You can't spend all day hanging upside down, taking your gun apart and sharpening your knives. You got to chill out some to be a real person in society, right? Now, guns and knives, they're all staged around my house, but they're there. If all of a sudden I had to react, I can immediately switch categories. Yellow, the yellow category is I'm situationally aware. I'm not really expecting a threat, but if somebody shady kind of came out, I would notice them and I would cue in on them, and I'm aware. I'm situationally aware. Not expecting threats, but if one presented itself, I'd spot it early. And that's when you're in the yellow box of situational awareness and readiness. Orange is when you see somebody and you're like, I bet that's a threat that's about to actually happen. This is a really heightened sense of awareness. You're like, I bet they've got a gun. They've given all these warning signs that they're about to attack, and you know exactly what those are and how to read those. All of a sudden, you're going to orange. Now, my goal in orange is to get back to yellow as soon as I can truly dismiss them. I don't want to be hanging out in orange. That's where you'll burn out. And some people walk around kind of in orange all the time, and they're not actually functioning members of society. They're freaking out. And orange is just kind of like that. You're in it only for as long as you absolutely have to be. And that person leaves, so they're kind of like, all right, we good now? We're good? All right, yellow. And I can enjoy life again. I'm kind of scanning my environment at all moments. And I'm just kind of looking for that real possible threat, right? Then red is the fight's on. It's kind of like, you're about to go to work. So that's red, and yeah, obviously it's kind of like you've already made this in. Hey, if you do this, I'm going to go ahead and move over here, and I'm waiting for it. Don't do it, man. Don't do it. He's going for it. So am I. And then that's kind of the red thing. I hope this was helpful, guys. Go ahead and like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And share this with somebody that you think could be helpful. Situational awareness is paramount for safety and security, ever so much more than being good with firearms. If you don't notice the threat in advance, by the time the threat presents itself, it's too late. See you guys.